Unmute yourself. Please feel free to unmute when speaking. You can also use a chat box at the bottom of your screen. This is a collaborative meeting, so after each presentation, we will allow time for questions and answers. And again, I have access to move all the slides, so please cue me when you would like me to move to the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Imelda. Good afternoon. My name is Armando Villa, City Manager for the City of Menifee, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 4:01 p.m. and today is October 26, 2020. The next item is roll call. I'd like to ask our city clerk to do roll call, please.
I will note that both committee members, Council Member Lisa Sobek and Council Member Dean Dinas, are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As I stated earlier, my name is Armando Villa, City Manager for the City of Menifee. I've been the City Manager for the City of Menifee for the past 3 years. And over the last 5 years, the City of Menifee has seen a considerable growth rate in both residential and commercial development, primarily residential development. We have seen approximately a 3 to 5% increase in population yearly. And we've added over the last 3 years, we've added about 10,000 residents to our city. And at least 50% of those residents are kids that are either benefiting or impacting your schools. Consequently, because of all this growth, our city council became concerned that we weren't doing everything we could to collaborate with our school districts to develop solutions and identify problems and strategize on how to deal with growth. So our city council developed a plan to appoint 2 council members to a committee, which is the committee that you're seeing today, to be able to create a forum and create a platform so that we can share ideas, identify problems, and develop solutions for our growth, and more specifically as it relates to growth and student population. So at this point, I'd like to introduce the 2 council members that the city council appointed to be part of this summit, and that's Councilwoman Lisa Sobek and Councilman Dean Dinas. So Councilwoman Lisa Sobek.
Thank you, Armando, and thank you everyone for being here today. I'm really grateful for technology that we can still hold this first summit that we wanted to do. And I was thinking about all of you today, and I was thinking about my relationship here in the city. I know we have some new people who don't know me, so I'll just let some of you know I'm a over 30-year resident, and I've been active and involved in the community since I've lived here. I worked for the Menifee Union School District. My children went to the Menifee Union School District. I've had grandchildren attend the Menifee Union School District. I've had children attend the Paris High School District and a grandson attend Paloma Valley High School and JROTC. I've had grandchildren attend Romaland School District. And currently I have some grandchildren that are attending Santa Rosa Academy, as well as some of my children that attended Mount San Jacinto. I think the only group here that I haven't had a family member or a attend is the Spring Charter Bear Creek School. So I'm excited to hear from you today, and I hope that you feel that this is worth your time. We appreciate you taking your time, and I am going to turn the time over at this time to Councilmember Dean Dinas.
Well, thank you everyone for being here today and taking time out of your schedule. But I can't follow Lisa too much with all the kids going. I just had my 2 youngest sons go through the Romaland and Paris High School, but very pleased with their education, and I'm very pleased with what's going to happen today about being able to exchange information and plus the input and the discussions going forward. So I look very forward to hear what's going on with the school districts, because a lot of times we get caught up with city stuff so much that we kind of focus on that, but you know, we serve the same residents. So in my opinion, it's very important that we both be able to hear what's going on with the school district. So I appreciate your time today, and I'll turn it back over to Armando.
Thank you, Councilman Dean Dynas and Councilwoman Sobek. And the next item on the agenda is introduction. So we have a number of staff members that are going to be presenting to you today. And I'd like for them to introduce themselves. We'll start with our city attorney.
Thank you, Armando. I'm Jeff Melching. I'm the city attorney. I've been the city attorney since 2014, and I'm excited to be here tonight and help out in any way that I can.
Our city clerk.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Manwaring, the city clerk, and I'll be taking the minutes for today's meeting.
And then I think Imelda, you're next.
Yes, my name is Imelda Huerta. I'm the Senior Management Analyst in the City Manager's Office. It's a pleasure to meet you all virtually.
And then we would follow up with the staff members that are going to be presenting to the group.
It's Gina first.
Gina Gonzalez, Economic Development Director for City of Menifee.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cheryl Kitzrow, Community Development Director for the City of Menifee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yolanda Macalala, the Acting City Engineer for the Public Works Engineering Department. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlos Geronimo. I'm the Principal Engineer for the Capital Improvement Projects.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Nix. I'm the Community Services Director, which is Parks and Recreation, and I'm also the Interim Public Works Director.
Hello, everybody. Pat Walsh. I'm the Police Chief for Menifee. Happy to be here and look forward to working with all of you, hopefully in a good way.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Wyman. I'm the Assistant City Manager. I oversee economic development, information technology, community services, our fire department contract, and currently overseeing capital improvement projects.
Thank you, Jeff. And next, I'd like to start with the Menifee Union School District, if they have anyone to introduce.
Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Root, and I am the new superintendent of Menifee Union School District. This is week 2 on the job, so thank you for having me. Also joining us today is our Public Information Officer, Betty Cadmus, our Board of Trustees President, Mrs. Jackie Johansson, and our Board of Trustees Deputy Clerk, Mr. Bob O'Donnell.
Welcome and thank you for joining us. And how about the Romo Land School District?
Hi there, thank you. This is Trevor Payton. I'm the superintendent in Romo Land School District. And Mrs. Root, I haven't had a chance to reach out to you yet, but welcome aboard, and I'm sure we'll be collaborating in the future. And I'll be representing Romo Land School District this evening.
Thank you for joining us. How about the Paris Union School District?
Hi, I'm glad to be here tonight. My name is Candace Rains. I'm the Deputy Superintendent, and I'll be representing the Paris Union High School District. It's also good to meet you, Jennifer, though I think we sat on the same committee for like a really brief time.
Thank you, Candace. How about Santa Rosa Academy?
Good evening, welcome. My name is Aaron Kapp. I'm the principal sitting in for Dr. Robert Hennings here at Santa Rosa Academy. Mrs. Root, my neighbor, welcome. It's good to have you here with us. Romo Land, Paris, good to see you all. I also have with us my fellow co-principal, Ms. Marge McDermott. She stepped out at the moment, but we also have a number of our board members, including board president Scott Mason, Ms. Kelly Welty, and also doing double duty, Ms. Gina Gonzalez.
Well, thank you for joining us. And next is Spring Charter School. Is anyone from that school? Okay, well, can come back to that. How about Manson Jacinto College?
Hi, this is Tom Ashley. I'm the Board of Trustee member, Area 5 from MSJC. I'll let Vicki introduce herself in just a moment, but I represent the cities of Murrieta and Temecula on the board. And although I'm not the Menifee rep, things that happen down there affect our residents. So I'm going to be here tonight, and I'll hand it off now to, oh, and also I happen to work in Menifee, and I've been a lifelong resident of the Valley. So I'll hand it off now to Vicki Carpenter.
Thank you, Tom. Trustee Tom, Vicki Carpenter, your trustee for Menifee, District 3, and serving Menifee and parts of Hemet. I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki and Tom. How about, let's go back to Spring Charter School. Has anyone logged on since? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the next item is public comments, and I'd like to ask Madam Clerk.
Hi, sorry. I'm here from River Springs Charter School. My name is Lindsay Robson. I'm the site facilitator there.
Thank you for joining us. Sorry about that. Were you muted?
Yeah, I was muted. I was trying to get it unmute.
Okay. Welcome. The next item is public comments. Thank you for joining us. Public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have?
Armando?
Yes.
I see Roger Schultz.
Oh, Roger's hiding over there.
Oh. Hi, Roger.
Hello.
Hi, Roger.
Roger, thank you for joining us. Do we have anyone else from Mount San Jacinto? Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak or anyone wish to make any comments?
I do not see any emails from anyone who has public comments regarding this meeting.
All right, then the next item is city updates. And this is the time when the city gets to tell you all about some of the wonderful things that are happening in the city of Menifee and that are benefiting or impacting your school district. Before we get to the presentation portion of it, I'd like to sort of outline some of the things that the city council has done in order to deal with the growth and also develop a vision. As you know, in 2018, you may know, the city council met in a summit and spent a couple of hours developing a vision and developing a mission statement, and actually developed a strategic plan. And that strategic plan, if we can go to the next slide, Imelda, the strategic plan was pretty much predicated on 4 foundational goals that would allow us to rely on for the future growth of our city. Those 4 goals are, as stated there, we wanted to make sure that our city was a safe and attractive community, that our city was livable, and I can't see the rest, that it was livable and economically prosperous community. We wanted to be responsive and transparent to the community as a government, and we wanted to be accessible in a connected community. We have been predicating on those foundational goals for just about every decision that we make here at the city. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Councilwoman Sobek so she can help us overview the first 2 foundational goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando. So our first would be to be a safe and attractive community. So part of our vision is to provide a full range of services that meet the highest professional and accredited standards of public safety by protecting life, maintaining order, and safeguarding property within our city. Some of our key objectives would be to emphasize community policing strategies and crime prevention through regular interaction with residents, students, and business owners. And I'm sure most of you have seen our new police cars out and about the city. And I'm sure we'll hear more from Chief Walsh about our new Menifee PD and how that is actually happening at this time. Provide an effective and fiscally responsible municipal services in a manner which promotes a high standard of community life. Improve public safety by delivering quality programs and services. Develop a mechanism to enhance the appearance of the city and cultivate community pride through beautification projects like Menifee Better Together, elimination of blight and graffiti. Lead and coordinate disaster-related exercises to elevate the city's response capabilities to a disaster. And you know, that one disaster that we never thought that we would handle was COVID-19. And I just have to give a shout out to, I know you schools and teachers and parents have had to deal with a lot. And I see the wonderful things that you have done and are continuing to do. Next would be a livable and economically prosperous community. If you want to move that, Imelda, to the next slide. Do we have a glitch? There we go. Thank you. So we want to develop a mechanism to foster a robust economy, solid educational opportunities and jobs. As you know, education is a very strong leg of a prosperous community. So part of our key objectives is to cultivate proactive economic development mechanism to enhance new drivers for industry, manufacturing, clean technology, and retail development. To create a comprehensive economic development plan, which includes strategies and policies that increase the quality of life for our residents, and update the general plan housing element to align with the city's vision. We're actually in the middle of this. We had our first community outreach last week, and there will be opportunities over a 12-month process for more input from our residents and community. Update the parks, the trails, open space, and recreation master plan to continue to integrate the community's vision and aspirations into a cohesive strategy and action plan to continue to guide the future development, management, and activation of city parks, recreation facilities, and trails. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to pass it over to Councilmember Dynas at this time.
Thank you. I actually remember to unmute. I've had some of the best discussions when I'm muted on these Zoom calls. As you see here, the next one is the responsive and transparent community government. You know, it's important as a city that we be responsive to our citizens and our residents based on the inquiries or information that we have to put out. And, you know, being transparent is important. And because what this does is foster a feeling of community spirit and identity, as well as promote a sense of full citizen participation. And the way the city plans on doing that is to make sure we have effective marketing and communication and outreach activities. And one of the things we've done, which in Dominique, you didn't get introduced yet, so I'm going to pause here because we've hired a new public information officer. So I just want to open it up here for Dominique to say hi. So if you do that real quick, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Dynas, and it's really nice to see so many faces. I began as the public information officer just over 2 months ago, and I've emailed with quite a variety of everyone who is on this call, but it is nice to see your faces even virtually, and just please do know that I'm here as a resource because I know that the sharing of accurate communication is essential for all of our agencies. So thank you for the opportunity to be introduced.
Thank you. The other thing that is important on this is one of our key objectives is the enhanced communication and coordination between schools or community groups and business groups. And I think this is one of the reasons we're here today is to enhance that communication and to share information. So that's why, and schools are so vital to our city because they serve the young people here and provide the education as well as train up our leaders for tomorrow here in Menifee. So again, I appreciate you being here. You can go to the next slide. The next one is accessible and interconnected community. Is to create and maintain a fully functional, appropriate, sustainable, and accessible and high quality infrastructure and facilities. They make these big words so the rest of us have to read it, can really get tongue twisted. But what it is essentially is to sustain a high quality of life in all of our different areas, whether it's urban or suburban or commercial areas. And we do that. And from this, we hope to have a highly effective infrastructure that will enable our community to move around and be involved in activities that not only the city puts on, but be able to get to businesses as well. And through that, you know, the city is examining our city's infrastructure needs through 2023 and developing a plan on how to address that. You'll see later today in the presentation, one of the first things we did when Measure DD was approved, and that was a missing links program. So without stealing the staff's thunder, I just asked if Lisa, you kind of just give us how that came about.
Well, once we got Measure DD, thank you, Councilmember Dinas, we sat down and looked at some of the key issues in the city. And one of them was we wanted safer routes to schools. So we actually did a survey through our engineering department. They went out and surveyed the whole city. And we started right away implementing those missing links. And it continues. I believe there's still some more we need to do, but we're getting missing link sidewalks in, signals, stop signs, because our schools, we want the children to have a safe route to school. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, so right now, the city's goal now is to prepare and implement a comprehensive infrastructure plan that's long-term. You know, right now, that's why our Measure DD is so vital, because it's going to allow for the pavement management program that allows for repaving of our roads as they get older, but also how to make sure that we have the right sidewalks and bridges, sewer and water mains, everything like that, so we're all interconnected. So we have the infrastructure together to handle the growth that's going to be coming. And so we're well underway on that. And again, I can't emphasize how much Measure DD has made a difference in that. So with that, I'll hand it back to Armando to finish our presentation.
Thank you, Councilman Dinas and Lisa Sobek. As you heard, and thank you for overviewing the 4 foundational goals of our strategic plan. And just want to reemphasize that every spending decision that we make here at the city in CIP and in our budget is predicated on making sure that they're very consistent to the 4 foundational goals. In addition to that, staff got together and decided to develop a mission statement that was very consistent to what the city council had approved with the 4 foundational goals. And what you see here is our mission statement. We are building a safe, thriving, and premier place to be. For the past 2 years, everything we do is again predicated on the fact that it's very, very consistent to our mission. And I want to share something with you. Just last week, we learned that we were top 10 in the nation as the best places to celebrate Halloween. And while this may not sound like a very important accolade, it is highly important, because it just gives you a sense of community pride, safety, and family values. So we were very proud to be honored and beat a whole bunch of other cities here in Western Riverside County to be nominated as the 10th in the entire nation. So we're very happy about that. And I want to also make sure that you know that for the last 2 years, the city of Menifee has been nominated as top workplaces. We are top 50 boom towns in America. And in 2019, we were considered one of the safest cities in California, top 10 places in the US to raise your kids, and top 2 places to live in the Inland Empire. So how about living up to our standard? We are building a safe and thriving and premier place to be. So we're very proud of that, and we wanted to share that with you. Next is I'd like to ask our city staff to overview components of their departments and some of the things that they've done to improve and on the strategic plan and the city. We'll start with Gina Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Villa. Good afternoon. Again, Gina Gonzalez with the Economic Development Department. Our department is overall in charge of business attraction, retention, and development and expansion in the city. And next slide, please. And I wanted to address, as Mr. Villa did, a little bit about the growth and what our statistics and demographics in the city look like today. Again, you know, we just had a birthday on October 1st. We're 11 years old. And, you know, we were incorporated in 2008. Our population today is just over 97,000. So we've seen a remarkable growth rate of 71%. It just kind of tells you, you know, there's people that are on this call today that said, yes, just like Mr. O'Donnell, you know, they remember Menifee before when, before we were a city and there was a four-way stop at Han and Newport. But today, 97,000 residents and we're thriving. Our median age, 36 years young. We're now the fastest growing city in Southwest Riverside County and 5th in Riverside County. Our average, median home value is about $430,000. Just from last year, this time, we're up 15%. Just over 36,000 households in Menifee with an average income of just over $87,000. I will touch on our budget and on the next slide in just a minute. But again, we're very proud of our award-winning school districts here in Menifee. And we love to tout that to our business community and all new incoming residents and prospective residents. We're proud of our local college here. We see ourselves as a college town, and we're proud to tout that with over 40 university affiliated partners. And we're very proud of our schools here locally that have maker spaces, but we also have the only Eagle maker space in the region. Next slide. So this year, I mean, we did have a balanced budget, but that did not come without any tribulations like many of our partners in California and in the United States. We did have to, adapt and make cuts and, had budget freezes, you name it. The staff went through it just to make those numbers work, and just wanted to give you and really paint a picture of our proportionment of where our revenues within the city come from in a range of different categories, from development fees, franchise fees, our property tax makeup, and we're trying to grow our sales tax. This climate has been a bit difficult, as you know, with COVID. And this particular graph does exclude Measure DD, that additional 1% sales tax, and then also a small proportionment of VLF. And then again, on the expenditure side, you'll see a large concentration on public safety. And again, excluding the Measure DD components, but this does show you the commitment to public safety as being the #1 priority. Next slide. If you can hit it a couple, thank you. Wanted to briefly touch on this. Again, there's been a lot of questions of exactly where do the tax dollars go in the city of Menifee, and this is just a breakdown of that sales tax dollar itself. So the Bradley Burns, that is the Menifee share, that original 1% sales tax. So of every dollar, this is the city's share. That 1% is all we receive. The additional 1% is that sales and use tax, that Measure DD. And then again, the remaining portion, 0.5% goes to RCTC, and then a little over 6% goes to the state of California. Next slide. So there was another question we had was specifically of that 1% with DD, as we mentioned, what is that broken down? So just over 40% to police, over 30% to fire, 20% is infrastructure, large capital improvement projects as well. And then we also have code enforcement to round it out. Next slide. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about property tax and how property tax dollars are divided for every dollar as well, and where does that apportionment go to? Well, for the city of Menifee, when you look at the overall dollar, the city receives just about 13 cents of every dollar. And of that, 6 cents goes to the general fund, and then 6 cents goes to the fire department. So again, when you look at the proportionary, 16% goes to special districts, and just about 12 cents goes to the county, and then just under 60 cents goes to school districts. Next slide. So what we're roundabout talking about is the amount of money that each city receives and how we're really trying to grow to brace for the growth that we're seeing. And then also that comes in forms of job creation, that comes in forms of the additional retail, so sales tax dollars, and then overall the industrial side, right? So we're trying to grow industry here. One of the things I wanted to draw up was last year, the city of Menifee, the city council, made it part of their strategic visioning to concentrate on a comprehensive economic development strategy, also known as a CEDS. With that, we applied through the federal government, received a grant from that, completed it last year, and received a high excellence from the federal EDA on the CEDS itself. That was combined and put together with our stakeholders. And we're the first city in Southwest Riverside County to complete a CEDS to diversify our local economy. So really what it is a blueprint plan for the city to concentrate on over 5 years to really grow the city's economic base. So with that, we've recently completed an office study, shows that we have a current demand in the city of over 80,000 square feet, a retail study that shows within our city boundary, we have a 1.44 million square feet demand. And then when you expand that to a 7-mile radius, we have over close to 3 million square feet in demand. And then most recently, we just finished up our industrial study, and that is a wide spectrum of uses from advanced manufacturing, you name it, it goes all across the board. From medium manufacturers to large manufacturers, but the overall unmet demand is about 540,000 square feet, and that is from a regional perspective. And then over 10 years, that amounts to about 5.8 million square feet. And so that grows annually by 580,000 square feet. And again, that is a regional demand. One of the important things that we're concentrating on is trying to reduce our sales leakage in the city. Right now, it exists about an 800 million in sales leakage. And what that is for folks that are unfamiliar with it, it is opportunities that are lost within the city to surrounding communities or surrounding areas. And when you expand that to 10 miles, that's a potential of $1.8 billion that we're trying to go after to keep here locally to provide services to our residents and to our community. And so again, we're also concentrating on major industry demand uses and other industry studies currently in partnership with San Marcos, but we're concentrating on general merchandise, grocery, sporting goods, hobby, restaurants, entertainment. And then when you look at the key industries that I know a few of the schools here have heard me speak about this, but it's advanced manufacturing, healthcare facilities and uses, technology, and local serving uses. Next slide. I believe it's Cheryl, my partner.
Thank you, Gina. My name is Cheryl Kitzero. I am the Community Development Director here at the city, and I oversee all of the development and planning activity that's occurring. Next slide, please. So I wanted to start with these images. These maps could be found on the city website. The map on the left-hand side of your screen is an illustration of the private development projects that are either in process, being reviewed by the planning department, or at some point in the construction process. The blue indicates a residential project. The yellow is a commercial or industrial project, and then the orange is a mixed use project. And what we want to highlight when we share this map is that development activity is not concentrated in just one area of the city. We are seeing development activity throughout the city. The map on the right is actually just a screenshot, but this map is an interactive GIS tool that we just completed, and it is available under city maps on the city website, and it highlights all of the capital improvement projects in the city. And when you're accessing the interactive functionality, you're able to click on any one of those little green arrows, and it will give you information on those capital improvement projects. And I know Yolanda and Carlos from our Public Works Engineering team will be giving a little bit more information about that later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So development activity is generally strong here in the city of Menifee. Even in the COVID environment, we did see some slowdown in commercial activity due to some lending concerns. However, residential is very strong. Overall, between residential, commercial, and industrial, we have over 155 active development projects moving through the process in the city. We have over 1.2 million of square feet of commercial projects, either in plan review or under construction. And we have 1.3 million square feet of industrial going through the planning process. We did just welcome the Fairfield Inn and Suites opened up in Menifee Town Center, and then the Gateway Commercial Shopping Center in Menifee Town Center at the western boundary of that property along Newport Road will be under construction very shortly, and that will feature a Sprouts Market. Next slide, please. This highlights the residential development activity. Our permit activity for single family homes has been very steady. We continue to issue between 100 and 150 building permits a month for single family homes in the city. There are just under 1,200 units under construction currently, and we have approximately 10,000 already approved residential lots in the city that will be built over the course of time as the market permits. Our Dorego study that we have completed every year is projecting a 10% increase in population over the next 2 years as we see that residential development maintaining strong. Next slide, please. So we wanted to also highlight some other projects that are moving forward here in the city. The courthouse project right in the heart of Menifee Town Center will include 9 courtrooms. It'll be for civil and family law. It's a $90 million investment from the state. That project should be breaking ground in the spring of next year. And then at the corner of Menifee Road and La Piedra Road, just across the street from Wheatfield Park, the Menifee Public Library is under construction by the county. It's a 20,000 square foot library. It will have a dedicated children's librarian, and it's anticipated to be completed in the spring of 2021. Next slide, please. In addition to private development projects, we are investing in infrastructure in the city of Menifee. Our capital improvement program is $181 million, and this year we have 7 active projects. This year we completed the Scott Road interchange. We're working on right-of-way acquisition for the Holland Road overpass. We are doing design for the widening of Scott Road from the interchange to the western city boundaries. We're doing preliminary design plans for the McCall Boulevard interchange, and then doing some work on the Garbani Road interchange for future, and then Bailey Boulevard improvements. Next slide, please. We talked about private development projects, public development projects, and really everything that we do, we strive to provide excellent customer service, both internally and to our external partners. We take a all hands on deck approach as a development team. You know, this isn't one department, this isn't the planning department or the building department, it's all hands on deck. So the planning department, the building department, the fire department, economic development, engineering, and public works. The city council and the city manager has made an investment to enhance the technology that we use on an everyday basis to accept plans electronically and review them electronically. We updated our fee structure to be more predictable. We offer a concierge service to the development community with an ombudsman representative to walk folks through the process. And then should there be any challenges, we roll out our rapid response team to address those issues. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it for me. Thank you. Yolanda?
Thank you, Cheryl. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Yolanda Macalalad. I'm the acting city engineer for the Public Works Engineering Department. This afternoon, myself and our principal civil engineer, Carlos Geronimo, are pleased to provide you with an update on the progress of the city's Safe Routes to School program, or SRTS. Since program inception, the city has completed several infrastructure projects to promote not only safe walking to schools, but also increase the levels of physical activity for students and residents. These projects include several sidewalk improvements throughout the city that were completed in the last 2 to 2.5 years. In addition, in keeping with the city's vision of attaining an interconnected community, as previously mentioned by council members Dynas and Sobek, the city has recently developed for approval and adoption an active transportation plan, or ATP, with the goal of identifying the actions, projects, and programs that the city can take to promote bicycling, walking, and the use of non-motorized travel throughout the city. It's basically a blueprint of the city's plan into the future that will provide a cohesive interconnection of bicycle paths and pedestrian projects in the city. And with that, I would like to go ahead and introduce Carlos, our principal civil engineer, who is overseeing several projects, capital improvement projects, to provide a more detailed update on the several sidewalk projects that I just mentioned, as well as a short update on the progress of the ATP. Carlos?
Thank you, Yolanda, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlos Geronimo, Principal Engineer for the City of Menifee. Next slide, please. So I'll be just going through a few of the projects that we've done in the City of Menifee that focuses on Safe Routes to School projects. Next slide. So this one we completed on Holland Road. It's at Southshore Elementary. Next slide. And with every picture slide, you'll see a before and after conditions of the work that we've done. This one is at Garbani Road and Menifee Elementary. Next slide. At Menifee Road and Freedom Crest Elementary, just south of that school, there's a section on Menifee Road that did not have any sidewalk. So we went ahead and completed that missing gap. Next slide. Same thing at Sherman Road and had Christensen Middle School. There were no sidewalks leading up to McCall Boulevard. So we did have right away and we installed a sidewalk towards this school. Next slide. Same thing at McCall Boulevard at Boulder Ridge Middle School on McCall Boulevard. We installed some sidewalks on both sides of McCall Boulevard leading towards the school. Next slide. And also on the Quail Valley area, we identified this as a priority need a few years ago to the Quail Valley School. Next slide. So we did some improvements, some drainage and sidewalk improvements in this area. And as you can see in the pictures, you know, the kids and the families were happy to finally use a safe route to their school. Next slide. We also work in the Romoland area on Adams Street, putting together some project to build sidewalks and to make the area more safe for kids to go to school, which is kind of to the right side of the picture. Next slide. And these are before and after pictures. You can see the dramatic difference between both of them. When there were no sidewalks and no safe ways to get to school other than walking right in the middle of the road. Now kids and parents can enjoy going to school in a safe manner through the sidewalks and high visibility crosswalks. So it's a big improvement for that community. Next slide. McCall Boulevard, as we mentioned, we also installed sidewalks on the south side leading towards the west side of McCall. Next slide. And this is some after pictures once the project was completed. Next slide. So as Yolanda mentioned, we also are working on the active transportation plan. We've been working on this project for the last 18 months. And we collaborated with many of your school districts, and many of you yourselves had input in putting together this active transportation plan. So we're in the final stretches of the active transportation plan. We'll be taking a final draft report to our planning commission this Wednesday night. And if anybody's free, you can tune in and listen and take part of these discussions. And after planning commission, we'll take it for final adoption to the city council on November 18th. And that should wrap up the active transportation plan and focuses a lot on pedestrian safety, bicycle safety for everybody in the community. And it has a big component on safe routes to school and equity in the communities as well. So with that, next slide. I'll pass it on to Jonathan next.
Hey, thanks, Carlos. I just really want to focus on what we are able to do in Parks and Recreation with all the restrictions that are going on. So next slide, please. So just like the schools, we have a lot of virtual classes, but I know I have a second grader and a fourth grader that, you know, there's a little bit of the virtual burnout going on. So we are still offering a lot of things outdoors. We're working a lot with different sports leagues in Menifee. So leagues like AYSO, soccer, and all them, they do have practices that are available. So we are working with them, and they are out there at the parks under certain guidelines and certain restrictions, but they do have those available for any of the your students in those grade levels that are looking to do some outdoor activities. We also, as a city, have some outdoor activities as well, like ballet, taekwondo, dance, basketball skills, and more that we offer outdoors. So please, 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 if there are any parents out there or any students that are looking to, you know, log off for a little bit and get outdoors, the parks are open. They can use the parks. Just make sure they go out there safely. They stay within their own family group. And then also, please share with them that we have these outdoor programs available. Also, we opened earlier this month our Audie Murphy Ranch Skate Park. Those are the hours right there. And we're still taking some applications, although we usually do a lot of our events in person. We're doing a lot of them virtually now. And we have our Veterans Day Art and Essay Contest. So kids can, we're still taking applications for that. So if they want to participate in that, they'll be featured in our Veterans Day virtual celebration in a couple of weeks. We also have some park projects in progress. So as Cheryl mentioned, there's a lot of housing developments. With those housing developments are a lot of new parks coming forward. And the city, we're also developing some of our existing parks. There's Nova Park, which is on the northern part of the city, just west of the 215. So we're doing some upgrades there, putting some new play equipment in there, doing some trail enhancements. And then Kaye Thomas Trail. It's a very small trail that's right off of Newport, right across the street from where the Krikorian is going to be built. We're putting in a little park improvement there. So I just really want to emphasize with all of you to share with, you know, the parents and all the students out there that if they're looking for something to do, we do still have some activities available, and direct them to our phone number or visit our community services website. So that's all for me. I'll send it over to Chief Walsh.
Hey, thanks, Jonathan. So as you heard Councilwoman Sobek talk about, we're a young city, 11 years young. In 2019, I was selected to be the very first police chief after the city council decided to go create their own police department. You can hit the next slide, Imelda. And so from April of 2019 till July 1st of this year, we created a police department. It's been a really phenomenal experience. What I think is important for everybody to know is that, you know, it's a very hard time to recruit police officers anywhere really. And so we had a very innovative strategy to try and get folks to come put in for Menifee. Everyone we hired has experience. There are no new people. So there's 60 sworn positions, which that means all the police officers up to me. There's 60 of us, and there's 17 professional staff that supports us. For those 77 positions, over 2,300 people put in for the jobs. I'm really proud of that. So I haven't done the math lately, but the last time I checked, we were at about 750 plus years of experience walked in the door. 35 of them have bachelor's degrees, 12 master's degrees, and several of them are in school to finish their 4-year degree or their master's degree. And one young lady is taking a break for a year or two, then she's going to go get her doctoral degree in psychology. Really proud of the type of people that we hired. We took the old city hall, which is at the north end of Holland, next to the Postal Service, and we created a police department out of that, remodeled it. Next slide, Imelda. One of the things that's been a great collaboration is we approached Marietta Police Department and asked if they would do dispatching for us. You can't have a police department without a dispatch center. So it does a couple things. It right off the bat, we have an experienced dispatch center dispatching us. And two, we don't have to create a dispatch center and put antennas up and create a whole infrastructure for that. So it just made sense to collaborate, and it's working very well. And it saved us a ton of money, as you can see, $2.3 million. Next slide. You know, you heard Armando talk about, you heard Armando talk about the city's mission to build a safe, thriving, premier place to be. One of the things that the most important thing we did to make a police department, and it's kind of appropriate for these times, was coming in the door. Everyone I talked to, I said, you have to be positive, you have to be compassionate, hardworking, and we're going to build a culture that we want. I'm not taking over a police department that has a culture. We're creating the police department. So everybody is really invested in that, in this police department. And we did the same thing. We got together in a room for 2 days and we argued and went back and forth, and we created a mission statement that I think dovetails very nicely with the city's mission statement. And that is, we deliver an experience where people feel unified, engaged, and safe. And if you walk around my police department, almost every office, some form of that mission statement is on the wall in people's office. They've really bought in. And I just think we hired the right kind of people. So I'm really proud of that. You know, the average diversity for a police department is about 12%. We're at 26. Three of my 6 command staff are female. And we just have, we're very proud of the culture, and I think you're gonna like my staff when you meet them. So I think, Imelda, that's it for me. Turn it over to Jeff.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. As you all know, services during the pandemic are a little bit challenging. Imelda, if you could hit the next slide, please. Services have always been challenging, but our goal here is to provide outstanding service, as Cheryl noted earlier in her section. You know, the county has been, we went to purple, then we went to red tier, now we're back to purple. So we've been open at City Hall, we've been closed, we reopened, we closed again, then we reopened again. So we've been kind of back and forth, but the city staff have done an outstanding job ensuring that our residents and our customers are able to access services on an ongoing basis. The city was already moving towards a one-stop shop, but with the pandemic, we quickly jumped to provide a no-stop shop, basically meaning that you don't even need to come into the city hall to get all the services that you need. And next slide, please, Imelda. This just kind of shows the multiple ways to connect with the city. You can connect to it with us via our websites, which have a lot of information, including information on COVID and all our different departments. The City of Menifee has a mobile app that you can get information on events, report issues, contact our development departments. You can also, through either of those, contact our departments to set up appointments for either development permits, business license, or whatever services are needed. So City Hall is technically open Monday through Thursday from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, but theoretically we're open 24/7 through our websites and our mobile apps. And with that, I'll pass it back to Armando.
Thank you, Jeff and staff. That was a very thorough report. And for those in attendance, I want you to know that I know that we just gave you a lot of information, and we struggle with that much information, and we actually condensed it to this much. But we felt that it was important for you to know all this information because we are extremely busy as a city. I know that we are a young city, and by the way, we're 12 years old, and we are experiencing a tremendous pace of growth. And I know that this growth is going to eventually impact your operations. So we wanted to share this with you so that you can take this information and share it with your staff, and either tweak your plans or tell us where we can help you. Now, we want to hear from you. The next item on the agenda is school district updates. And we'd like to start with Menifee Union School District so that you can share some of the exciting things that you guys are doing up there.
I'm sorry, Armando, did you want to ask if they had any questions before moving on?
Oh yeah, you guys have any questions for staff or of anyone that just presented? Having no questions, and we will move to listening to the Menifee Union School District presentation, if you have one.
Thank you, Mr. Villa. We would love to share some information with you about Menifee Union School District. Again, my name is Jennifer Root, and I'm the proud superintendent of Menifee Union School District. Although I may be a new face to you, I also have co-presenting with me a very familiar face to you with our Public Information Officer, Betty Cadmus. As well as representing our district today is our Board of Trustee President, Mrs. Jackie Johansson, and our Board of Trustees Deputy Clerk, Mr. Bob O'Donnell as well.
And I'm sorry, can you see the screen? I just want to make sure the presentation is up.
You're still your email box.
Michelle, can you bring it up? I'm not sure why it's not pulling up. Let me see. I apologize. I had to replace this one. Okay, let me retry.
Thank you. There we go.
Can you see it now?
Perfect, thank you. If you could go back one slide, possibly.
Let's see. Okay.
There we go. Thank you. So Thank you. So in trying to keep to the time constraints of 10 to 15 minutes, it would be easy to go on with you for an hour plus about the Menifee Union School District and the great things that we're doing for children, especially during this pandemic. But we've tried to narrow it down to two topics, one being the path to reopening, and two being some exciting work on our facilities that will be coming. So on the next slide, you'll see that as our Board of Trustees have grappled with the decision of opening or remaining in distance learning, they really have had some amazing guiding principles and essential questions that have guided their decision-making process. First and foremost, safety. To what extent does our model align with current health and safety guidelines? Two, readiness and efficacy. Are we ready to implement the model? Do we have the facilities, the technology, the professional development in order to move ahead? What the fiscal impact? Is there adequate funding for the implementation? Parent support. Will our parents choose and embrace the model? Well-being and connection. What impact will this model have on the social emotional health of our students and staff? And instructional integrity. Does the model support high quality instruction and deep student learning? And having these guiding principles as their North Star as they made decisions, they've been able to come to what is a good outcome for our families at this time. On the next slide, you'll see that in September and October of this year, we sent a parent commitment survey out to all of our parents and our staff to find out, now that we've been in this distance learning environment since March, what are their thoughts about moving out of it? What would they like to see for their children and their families? A model was given of staying in our distance learning class. In the spring, we had a distance learning program. We know that at that point, we had enacted it very quickly, and over the summer, we did a lot of work on our program, and we've rebranded it as Distance Learning Plus because we feel it is a highly more effective program designed to meet the needs of our learners. And we gave Model 2, which was on-campus learning. And within that model, there was 2A, which was moving from the Distance Learning Plus we're in now to a hybrid with approximately 50% of students on campus, and then to traditional, or Distance Learning Plus to traditional, which was Model B. On the next slide, the results of our survey, we had almost 60% of our parents respond to the survey, and over 65% of our employees respond, which is a really good turnout for our survey. 20% of our parents and employees selected to continue in Distance Learning Plus, meaning if we chose to come back to school, they would continue in Distance Learning Plus for the remainder of the year. Of the remaining 80%, we had a slight majority choose the Distance Learning Plus to traditional of parents, and we had a clear majority of employees choose the Distance Learning Plus to traditional. So what we saw was that the majority of our families really want to stay in that distance learning until we can come back to a traditional setting with the appropriate safety safeguards. So our Board of Trustees on the next slide made two decisions at our last Board of Trustees meeting. One was to continue at this time to provide Distance Learning Plus until it's safe to return to a traditional model. Two, to offer Distance Learning Plus where families would have that opportunity to remain on virtual learning should they choose for the entirety of the 2021 school year. So what is Distance Learning Plus and what enhancements have we done? On the next slide, you'll see that we have invested in a number of programs and materials and ideas that are enhancing the learning for our students. We've got some innovative programs, Screencastify, Pear Deck, Seesaw, Rosetta Stone, which will enable children to learn online. We purchased the iReady program to be able to assess the learning of our students, to find out where we were having learning loss and how we can best mitigate that. We provided a large number of technology of computers, Chromebooks, and laptops, and document cameras. And most importantly, we invested a lot of time into professional development for our capable staff. There's a saying that every teacher became a new teacher this year, in this year of COVID, when they've all moved to online instruction. And so we wanted to ensure that we supported our teachers in this new type of learning and learning the best strategies to be able to teach our students. Additionally, on the next slide, you'll see that we purchased Kajit, which is a brand of hotspot. We have our libraries are virtually open, meaning that people can come by our schools and pick up library books. We have home visits for families that we are not seeing their kids engage in school. We have a number of virtual activities, including this one, a virtual lunch together with. And then we have a re-engagement plan for students that have not been able to engage with our schools. And so on the next slide, you'll see an example of a very thorough plan that when a child is not present in our schools, of what we're doing to make sure that we reach out to them and their families and ensure that they are engaging with us and that they are coming back so that we know they're getting the learning necessary to be successful. And this is just one of our schools, but each of our schools has their own re-engagement plan to make sure that our students are here in school with us learning each and every day. We've moved ahead with the services for our most at-risk students. And on the next slide, you'll see that for our students with special needs, as of October 5th, we have reopened our testing hubs to allow for us to complete special education assessment. And therefore, we're able to do in-person testing with a large majority of safety protocols. One of the things we did was we created videos for parents to watch so that they know what it looks like when they come into a testing hub. They understand what they're going to experience, what their child will experience, what safety protocols in place so that they're more comfortable doing that. Beginning October 19th, so a week ago, and then again today, we were able to open up some of our moderate severe special needs classes, ensuring that there were no more than 16 people per class, including children and adults. And we have got incredible feedback that the children are excited to be back in school, that they are learning, and that their staff is just so happy to see them. Each week we're calling families to come in and making sure that we're meeting their needs of their IEP, and also ensuring that we have all of the necessary supports and bringing them back. Our next step is we'll be working to bring back our mild, moderate, self-contained classes to school with the same safety procedures. So again, working hard to meet the needs of our students. We're looking at the future of a time when we will be able to return. Our next slide shows our enhanced safety measures. These are just a few of the things we have done, but we have put hand sanitizing stations throughout our schools so that children and staff alike can make sure that they are sanitizing their hands on a regular basis. We are requiring that all of our staff wear fabric face coverings. We also have available disposable masks and gloves as needed. We've purchased touchless forehead thermometers, and we've really identified our cleaning standards and made sure that the cleaning chemicals that we're using are effective and that they're able to be done in a quick manner so that we can keep our classrooms and our playgrounds and our common areas clean, disinfected, and safe for children. We have an amazing team of professionals in Menifee Union School District who have put together what you'll see on the next page, which is our school reopening handbook. And in this is simply the table of contents of it, but we have had collaborative teams from both our district office as well as our school sites working together to ensure that we have utilized the most appropriate guidance out there and looked at every facet of education and put together procedures and protocols to ensure that when we have the time to open, when we're allowed to reopen our schools, that we will indeed be ready to do that. This document is available to you on our website, and we put the link up there as well as the little tab bar. You're going to see that red bar that says School Reopening Info 2020 if you're interested in looking at it yourself. So that's our plan for reopening schools. And I will say that on behalf of our board, we all, and our staff and our teachers, we all look forward to the time that we can have students back in class safely and responsibly. And we want to make sure that one, we're ready for that when it happens, but two, while we still are in distance learning class, that we are continually working on revising and refining our instructional practices to ensure that we are best meeting the needs of our students. With that, I'd like to turn this over to, again, a familiar face. This is Betty Cadmus, who is our Public Information Officer, and she's going to tell you some exciting news about upcoming construction in our school district. Thank you.
Hello all. Greetings from for our school district and city colleagues. I just want to say that I look forward to continuing to work with our partners in education. As an example, I recently shared on our social media the Veterans Day art contest and writing contest, and I just really look forward to Dr. Root getting to know you in the way that I do, and working collaboratively with things such as safe routes to school and such. So we'll go to our next slide, please. So we're preparing for the future with our MUSD Facilities Department is committed to creating premier educational spaces where students can thrive. Next page, please. We have the installation of shade structures at schools across the district is wrapping up. Next slide. The Harvest Hill STEAM Academy expansion features 15 additional classrooms, locker rooms, a band and choir room, kitchen expansion, PE area, and playground upgrades. This expansion enabled Harvest Hill STEAM Academy to move from serving students from kindergarten through 5th grade to kindergarten through 8th grade and is near completion. Next slide. At Menifee Valley Middle School, their major renovation scheduled for an August 2021 completion is well underway. It features 38 new classrooms, an expanded stage area with enhanced band and choir rooms, connection to the sewer, an updated campus entryway, academic quads, academic cluster spaces, outdoor collaboration spaces, and a state-of-the-art library media center. Next slide, please. At Chester W. Morrison, their renovation project will include, and I know, Lisa Sobek, you're going to love this, prefabricated concrete construction, 3 1,280 square foot classrooms, student and staff restrooms, a storage room, collaboration space, covered walkways, updated playground, sewer connection, and a parking lot expansion. This will be completed for the 2021-2022 school year. Next slide, please. To adjust the growth of student population and with the continued support of the community, MUSD is moving forward with construction of 2 new schools. Middle school number 4, our 4th middle school, scheduled for a 2022-23 school year opening, will be located in the Audie Murphy Ranch area of the city, just east of Goetz Road. The site overlooks La Ladera Park. And next slide. And finally, elementary school number 15 will be located east of Interstate 215. And Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cadmus. And on our next slide, we have just comments, questions, or discussions, but I wanted to give a brief moment if Mrs. Johansson or Mr. O'Donnell, if you had something to say to our audience.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for providing this summit for us to get education more into the eyes of everyone in our community. You know, it's a joint effort that we have to work towards, and there's so many things happening in our community. As Gina said, you know, I came here 50 years ago. I was the postmaster in the community, and I saw when there was no traffic lights, many, many dirt roads that now are paved, and a school district that went from 300 students to over 11,000. And we went from 1 school to 15 schools. So I've seen so many things that have happened for our community. Becoming a city has really enhanced our community. And I'm just so happy that we can all be a part of this. And I'm glad that I've been able to serve on the school board. This is my 36th year of being on the Menifee School Board. So as you could say, I've seen it all. And I've been involved in so many other things in the community with the Crime Watch, the hospital, also with hospice, and then the school district. So I always say, what is your job in the community? I am a community volunteer. That's what I do, and that's what I continue to do until I leave this earth. Thank you for taking this time with me.
I heard you chime in.
I thank you for Jennifer and Betty for sharing. I appreciate it. it sums up well where we're going. And Jennifer Root has only been here a week. She's been on the job for a week and is making this presentation like she's been here a few years. And I just can't wait to see where we go from here. So anyways, thank you for having this great meeting, and I hope we get to do this more often.
Thank you. And were there any questions for us that we can answer?
I don't see anything in the chat either.
So with no questions, thank you, Jennifer, Betty, Bob, and Jacqueline. Thank you so much. So next is Romoland School District. Do we have anyone for the Romoland School District that wishes to make a presentation?
We do, thank you. This is, as a reminder, Trevor Payton, the superintendent in Romoland School District. Appreciate the opportunity tonight to share a little bit about our district. And, you know, trying to avoid some redundance, I figured there'd be a lot about COVID and reopening, and we have very similar planning as that you just heard from Menifee, with slight nuances according to our community. But tonight I kind of just want to focus on some of the highlights of our district, some of the current things that we're working on, and take any questions that the group might have. As always, our Board of Trustees are great. They set the direction for our district. They provide support. They ensure accountability. And really, they advocate for our students, our school district, and public education as a whole. And it kind of starts with them, and we can carry out those policies and directives given by our Board of Trustees to create a great school system. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So a little background on our district. We serve parts of the city of Menifee, parts of the city of Paris. We also serve some unincorporated areas in Romoland and Homeland. We serve just over 4,200 students, and in the theme that you've seen throughout the city and other districts' presentation is we are a growing district, which is a good place to be in, but it does present some challenges in other ways. We have 4 TK through 5 elementary schools and 1 6 through 8 middle school. And in addition to our traditional grade span offerings, we also offer early Head Start, state preschool, and many after school programs for our students as well. Next slide, please. All of our existing facilities are up to date and modern, which is great. We are very proud of the fact, and we've been working on that for several years. This is my 8th year in the school district. I served my first 5 as the assistant superintendent, and these last 3 as superintendent. One of the things that we're really proud about is our instructional technology in our district and how that has manifested in a COVID era. All of our students for 7 years have been one-to-one with Chromebook devices. I will say in K2 they weren't, they were 2-to-1 by design. We wanted some collaboration. We don't want young students just staring at screens all day if we can help that. And so when prior to COVID, we had a 2-to-1 ratio for our TK through 2 students. Since then, we have 1-to-1 devices, TK through 8th grade. Our infrastructure for our technology is built to avoid disruptions for learning. You know, technology is a tool. It's not a magic pill. And so for 7 years, our instructors and our school sites have been really working to leverage technology to meet the individual learning needs of students and to accelerate learning for students. And we're very proud of that fact. As we were forced to transition into a completely virtual environment, not that it didn't present challenges, but we felt like as an organization, we were well prepared for that transition. And while we are very proud of our facilities, we are a growing district and we do have facilities needs, absolutely. We can feel and see growth throughout our attendance boundaries in all areas, both in both cities and in the unincorporated areas. And really it's our top priority right now is how do we support and manage that growth. As a result, our Board of Trustees has placed a general obligation bond on the November 3rd ballot. And if that bond passes, it's going to allow us to maximize, hopefully, state matching funds, to maximize our dollars, to expand our existing facilities, create more safe and secure facilities, and also to build new neighborhood schools as well. And so we have been working hard on Measure P for several weeks, and we're keeping our fingers crossed for November 3rd. I also think in relation to that concept, as we were doing some work around this, what we discovered, I went back to 2008, we were the only school district in Riverside County without an existing bond. And really what that means for us is if we want our students to have the same educational opportunities as students in other districts, we need to have the same resources for that to occur. And so we're really hopeful that our community will get behind us and support this endeavor as we move forward. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we focus on in Romoland School District is personalized learning. And that has a lot of varying degrees of definition throughout public education. So before I kind of talked about that a little bit, I wanted to define that for you. And really what that means is that we provide intentionally designed evidence-based learning experiences to meet the needs of each and every student, and ensuring that they master standards to gain college, career, and life skills. And in order to provide a curriculum that meets the needs of every student, you have to know the needs of every student. And so that's the key and the linchpin where technology helps us as a learning accelerator. We're able to quickly generate data and identify where needs exist in groups of students and individual students. Our teachers group them by need and provide targeted supports. And the biggest part of this, I think, that has made the difference for us is that we're teaching students life skills. So if students know their current levels, and we teach this starting in kindergarten, they know where they're at, they set goals for where they would like to be, they develop a plan with their teacher on how to achieve those goals, they monitor their goals, and they make adjustments and chart their progress. And isn't that a great life skill that we could all use as adults, right? Through our school system, and we're teaching kids starting in kindergarten and as they progress through 8th grade how to do that. And we feel it's made a huge difference. Last fall, Romoland School District was invited to the California Department of Education to share our experiences. We were identified as one of the school districts in the state of California experiencing the largest gains in academic growth. And so we were one of 2 districts invited to share in a roundtable discussion for other districts in the state. And that was a very rewarding experience. And basically it really helped our staff understand the work that they had been doing. We were seeing the results locally. We knew that it was making a significant difference, but to be recognized on a statewide level for that effort was tremendous for us, and it really has helped us gain momentum as well. Next slide, please. Knowing that college and career is a big focus in our district, and academics are important, but there are other skills students need to develop, as I previously mentioned about that goal setting skill. So we also focus on the soft skills needed. And really our goal is for when our students leave our district, they matriculate to Paris Union High School District. But ultimately we want to give them a background where they have as many options for them available upon exiting high school. If that be college for their personal needs, great. If that be a career, then we want them to make the best decision for themselves moving forward. And so we do that, and we do that well. Our 8th graders at Ethan A. Chase Middle School, every single individual student gets a field trip to UC Riverside for the day to experience what college life is like on a campus, at least a little sliver of it. Every elementary school and middle school has a college kickoff day where students adopt a college for the year. They research different universities, but we also have career day, and we expose students to different professions. The couple represented here would be our fire department or first responder jobs. If people are interested in being a chef, we have a parent who's actually a certified Harley-Davidson mechanic who makes a very good living servicing Harley-Davidsons. And so we try to provide a broad experience for students, knowing that every student comes to us with different strengths and different passions, and we want to encourage that passion to exist throughout their school career. Next slide, please. I think one of the things that makes Romoland School District different is our STEAM program. We believe that a STEAM education should be provided for all students. Therefore, we provide it in all of our elementary schools. And we do that. We have a couple of very talented educators in our district that have created integrated STEAM units K through 5 for our elementary schools. They're focused on next generation science standards, but they also incorporate the other content areas of technology, engineering, the arts, and math concepts as well. So every student in our elementary schools, starting in kindergarten, starts to develop those skills needed to be successful in STEAM. As they matriculate to our middle school, our course offerings get a little bit more targeted. So some of our electives at our middle school would be design and modeling, and they use industry standard software for these particular electives. Green architecture, automation and robotics. We have a medical pathway called medical detectives, and also computer science courses for our middle school students. Next slide, please. We also believe in the arts are very important for students that have that passion as well. And so at our elementary school, grades 3 through 8, well, one of the things I want to talk about, I think that makes us unique is in grades 3 through 8, we offer elementary music, which maybe isn't so unique. I think the thing that really makes us unique is we actually purchase and provide all the instruments for students. And we do not want any student to be excluded from the arts or an educational opportunity based on their ability financially to purchase an instrument or not purchase an instrument. So we're very proud of the fact that we don't turn anybody away based on their home finances if they are interested in participating in any of our arts programs. And that makes it very special for us. In addition to our elementary music, obviously we have middle school band as well. Over 200 students in that program. And we also have a drama program, very robust, beginning, intermediate, and advanced, as well as technical theater. And I believe Ms. Sobek, maybe one of your grandchildren was in one of our productions a few years ago, if I remember correctly. And so those are always great to attend and see. And then, of course, we also have our visual and media arts. We have a Disney trained artist as an art instructor at our middle school, which is fabulous for our students. Next slide. Of course, we know students need support to be successful in school. So each of our elementary schools has a full-time counselor. Our middle school has 2 counselors. We also have 2 mental health therapists in our district, and 4 school psychologists. And of course, the physical health of our students is also a priority with 1 registered nurse, 5 LVNs, and a health tech, because we know that we need to take care of students' basic needs so that they can achieve their maximum potential academically and socially on our campuses. And really that kind of gives you an overview. If you'll go ahead and advance to the next slide. These are some of the things that have resulted from our efforts. Romoland School District is a model SARB. That's a recognition for your attendance and support procedures in your district. I mentioned our emphasis in instructional technology. So we're a common sense district. And what that means is every one of our schools in every grade level teaches digital citizenship, starting in kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, a series of lessons at each grade level that are age appropriate, so that we can teach students how to behave responsibly online and also recognize when other people may not be behaving responsibly online. And the only way to get that, individual teachers can get that certification, individual schools can get that certification, but as a district, what that means is all of our schools are engaging in that process. We're one of only 13 districts in the state that's a Google reference district, which we are very proud of as well. And then we have some individual school accolades out there. We have a California Distinguished School in our district, a Leader in Me Lighthouse School, an Avid School Site of Distinction, and an Avid Showcase School. And so that's kind of the work we've been engaged in over the last few years that have really helped Romoland School District ascend to the next level. And we're very proud of our staff and our students for their efforts in that. And with that, you can go to the next slide, and I would be happy to take any questions or comments from anybody.
Thank you, Trevor. Does anyone have any questions for Trevor?
I'm looking in the chat real quick. I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. So with no questions, excellent work, Trevor. Thank you so much for presenting. The next presentation is Paris Union School District.
Yes. Sorry. Stop. Okay, can you see their slide?
Not quite yet.
I think it's populating. Thank you, Candace.
Well, actually, while she gets that started, maybe if it's all right, Armando, I'll go ahead and begin. I'm really pleased to be here tonight. This is a really cool format, and I do, like others have said, I hope that we will be able to do this again. It's I think an especially proud night for me because I'm a Menifee resident. In fact, I live pretty much dead center between the skate park and Tooele Elementary School, so this should be a fun night. So good timing there. We'll go ahead and get started if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. That's a little better. Okay, so just a little bit about Paris Union. We actually incorporated in August of 1897. We're a fairly large school district in terms of the square miles, 182 square miles that we cover. We cover a majority of the city of Paris, all of the city of Menifee, and then many unincorporated communities like Nuevo, Romoland, and Homeland, and a portion of the cities of Lake Elsinore, Murrieta, San Jacinto, and Wildemar. And I'll show you a map that shows you that a little bit better in a minute. So a little bit unique for a high school district, for those of you that are familiar with high school districts, we cover grades 7 through 12 for students that come to us from the Paris Elementary School District. And then for all of our other feeder or collaborative districts, we serve grades 9 through 12. And so that's from, of course, the Menifee Union School District, the Newview Union School District, and the Romoland School District. Next slide, please. So this is here is a list of the schools that we operate in Paris Union High School District. As I mentioned before, we do middle school in the Paris area, and that's Pinacati Middle School. We operate Paris High School, Paloma Valley High School, Heritage High School, Liberty High School, which is opening next year. We're very proud of that, and I'll talk more about that tonight. Paris Lake High School is a continuation, or sometimes referred to as a credit recovery school, and that's actually for students from throughout our boundaries. So we'll have students from actually the entire rest of the list here. We have students from Menifee that will attend those schools in certain circumstances. We have an online independent study school for students that other than this year, would choose distance learning as their instructional model. We have an adult school and a pathways for adult life skills, and that's a functional skills school for special education students who are between the ages of 18 and 22 years old. So really, really cool. If you ever need, something just to warm your heart, contact me and we'll take a visit there. And then we have a dependent charter school, California Military Institute as well. Could go to the next slide, please. So this is what I was speaking of before. These are our entire 182 square mile boundaries, and you can see the 4 school districts there that we cover. Go to the next slide, please. This is probably one of my favorite slides because I think in the school district community, all of us, I'm sure here tonight would agree with me, we get asked this question a lot, and that is, why do the city boundaries and the school district boundaries not line up? And the school district boundaries in many cases were just established a lot longer ago. So you can see in the case of the Paris Union High School District, the green area there might look familiar to most of you as the city of Menifee. As Trevor mentioned before, that's part of the Romoland School District. They serve part of the city of Menifee. And then Paris Union, and then of course Menifee Union serves the rest of the city of Menifee. The beige or brown area there is the city of Paris, and you can see that actually encompasses both the Menifee Union portion of our boundaries, the Paris, as well as the Romoland areas of our boundary. And then you can also see in the blue there how we encompass, or we serve part of Wildemar, as well as part of Murrieta and parts of Lake Elsinore. So to me, it's always very interesting to see how those boundaries overlap. I know that was one of the first questions Chief Walsh asked me, if I could help him understand how some of those things work. If we could go to the next slide, please. So what I wanted to do tonight is focus on our 3 comprehensive high schools, including Liberty High School within the city of Menifee. And so I'll start with Paloma Valley High School. You can go to the next slide, please. That's just an aerial view. It's a little bit dated now, but of Paloma Valley High School, just to get you oriented. We could go to the next slide. So Paloma Valley opened in 1995. It currently has 3,300 students. That is way too many students for one campus, for one high school. I know for our elementary school district partners, that probably just sounds like an incredibly high number compared to the elementary and middle schools. We're very proud that 95% of our students with a 4-year graduation rate, almost half meeting the entrance requirements to start 4-year college. We offer 20 advanced placement courses at Paloma. We're very proud of our 10 dual enrollment and articulated courses that you can see there, and our partnership with MSJC. So thank you, Roger, Tom, and Vicki. We offer multiple career technical education pathways, including emergency responder, retail sales, engineering, biomedical, and computer science at Paloma. And then they have over 30 clubs that connect students to the campus and community. And that's not the first time you're hearing that tonight, that school is definitely more than just academics. And so we need things to connect kids and get them coming to school. If you could go to the next slide. So I do facilities in our district, so you'll probably hardly ever hear a presentation from me where I don't brag about our facilities. But we just last year opened up a new classroom building addition. It added 10 classrooms to what's referred to the J building at the campus. And so you can see that there. We could move on to the next slide. Another addition was the stadium building. So we now have a clear front of the stadium at Paloma Valley High School, adding a snack bar and restrooms, all things the stadium didn't have before. So they're very proud of that with their Wildcat Stadium there. Go to the next slide, please. And we have a number of upcoming, very exciting facility projects happening at Paloma Valley High School. We're going to need to contain Jonathan Nick's excitement here, I know, with some of these, but we are going to be building a 33-meter pool. We're going to be relocating the administrative functions to the front of the campus, to the currently operated by the county library. You heard earlier that they're building their own library, so that the timing of this will be great. But currently the administrative offices are in the center of campus, and that's really an old model design. It doesn't fit our current environment in terms of safety and securing the campus, so we'll be moving that up to the front. We'll be doing improvements to campus security with on-site vehicular circulation. We hope to also add a traffic signal, so we'll be working with our City of Menifee folks on that. We will be building a multi-purpose room at Paloma Valley High School, and so that's very exciting. Repurposing the current administration office to create a student union facility. So we will house ASB and athletics. We'll be expanding our video production facilities there at Paloma. And all of these plans are currently in the planning stages, and we're excited to get those completed, submitted to the Division of State Architect, and then come up with a construction schedule. But those things will happen very shortly. Oh, and then we'll also be relocating some of our relocatables to make room for some of the new buildings to the north end of campus. You could move on to the next slide, please. This just shows graphically the areas that I'm talking about. You can see the pool there in the center of campus. That'll be right behind the existing gymnasium. And then in the bottom portion of the screen, that's where the new multipurpose room will be built at. And the next slide, please. Moving on to Heritage High School. It's our second current high school in Menifee. You can go to the next slide, please. And just like Paloma, here's a quick aerial version, though also a little dated, of Heritage High School. I think I say this too often. I just need to get new pictures taken. If we could go to the next slide. So Heritage is our most recent addition, opening in 2007. Currently 2,900 students are enrolled. That is the capacity of the campus, but still a little large, especially you heard Cheryl's presentation with all the development coming in and housing and so forth. And so we expect more students coming to Heritage, but when we open Liberty, that will help with that as well. Like at Paloma Valley High School, students can earn community college units through our dual enrollment program with MSJC. Heritage High School is an avid national demonstration school with more than 700 students enrolled in that program. We're very proud that it's the 8th largest agricultural program in the county, their FFA program. And also, like Paloma, they have multiple career technical education pathways and a number of clubs and athletic programs to help keep students connected to school. If we could go on to the next slide. So we also have an upcoming project at Heritage High School. You're going to start to notice a theme. We are building a 33-meter pool at Heritage High School as well. So we're very excited about that. You can go to the next slide, please. And now we'll move on to Liberty High School. If you could go to the next slide, please. So the land for Liberty High School was purchased in 2009. We actually began looking for that land a couple of years before that, before the city of Menifee was even became a city. Voters approved Measure W in November of 2018, and along with Measure T, paved the way for construction to begin in February of 2019. Trevor, I know how difficult it is to get a bond measure passed, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I know you really need it. We're so proud that construction is well underway. We hit 62% last week, and Liberty High School will open in August of 2021. We can go to the next slide, please. Just if you're not oriented to where Liberty High School is, it's at the corner of Leon and Wickard Roads, maybe more well-known between Garbani and Scott Roads. It's just outside of the city of Menifee, like just outside. So it's actually in Winchester, which is also, of course, part of our boundaries. And you can go to the next slide, please. So this was, I think, the coldest and rainiest day. Those of you, Lisa's shaking her head. I still get teased for the selection of that date. And so Mr. Bennett, our superintendent, who couldn't be here tonight, has said I will probably pick the hottest day in August to hold the grand opening. But this was our groundbreaking ceremony, and we were really proud to have representatives from the city of Menifee there to help celebrate with us, because it was a long-awaited project. Go to the next slide, please. So these are the plans for Liberty High School. One thing it's missing is in these plans is a pool, but we have since added that into the plans, and I'll show you a rendering of that in a little bit. But we're really proud of this school. It's going to be a very unique school for our community in that it will be made up of 4 smaller learning communities or schools within a school. Sometimes we'll hear those referred to. And then also centers, a center for advanced science exploration. You can see in the corner there, that's a fancy word for science building. And then we also have 5 different centers for applied learning. One of them includes the arts building. You can see the theater there. And I'm going to show you some renderings on some of the construction project next. But if you could go to the next slide, you're going to see a quick overlay with a drone shot that we've taken. And so this is what the school looks like as of last week when we put this together. And so you can see much of the campus is taking shape. We've got a lot of parking lots, a lot of buildings going in. And as I said before, we're 62% complete and on track to open in August of 2021. If you could go to the next slide, please. So I just have some pictures in here to show you of the construction progress. This first one on the left is thank you, Gina, is the B5 building. It will have a new name by the time it's open, but this is what's on the architectural drawings. But the B5 building is the arts building. And again, has visual and performing arts. We're very proud of that. On the right is one of the upstairs hallways in that same building. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. On the left here, we see the back of the CASE building or the science building. And on the right, we see another classroom building. This is the B2 building. This is actually across the way. It's not as far as the buildings towards the front of the campus because we sort of started in a row there. We can go to the next slide, please. We can also see in the left here the inside of the theater taking shape. It's a little difficult to see, but the man in orange on the house floor right in front of him is an orchestra pit. So this will be our first school theater with an orchestra pit. So we're very excited about that. And then on the right, you can see the inside of the gymnasium. And one thing you probably can't tell from this picture, but you can see the start of the bleachers at the back of or at this side of the gymnasium. And this gymnasium, because there's a full level grade change on the campus, you'll actually enter the gymnasium, or you can enter the gymnasium from the second level of the campus. And so you'll be at the top of the bleachers instead of the bottom of the bleachers, like I think we're accustomed to in most gymnasiums. If you could go to the next slide, please. And then here are a couple of views of the progress to date on the stadium. The one on the left, you can see the gymnasium right there in the background. And next slide, please. And you can kind of go through these pretty quickly, but these are some renderings I wanted to share with you. This is the center of the campus, or the campus commons. Those blue pop-outs there are actually professional centers for our teachers. We have a strong belief at this campus that we don't want teachers operating in silos in their classrooms. We want them coming out of their classrooms and collaborating with one another, sort of an elevated professional learning community model. Go to the next slide, please. That's a view from obviously the football stadium, and you can kind of see up to the top of the campus there. I really like this rendering because it shows the grade change level that I was talking about on the campus. And so the way we designed this campus is for all of the academic portions of the campus to be up on the top and all of the athletic and PE facilities to be at the bottom portion of the campus. And that really accomplishes 2 things for us. One, so we're not disrupting the academic portion of the campus, but also in the evenings and on the weekends, we can block off or lock off secure the academic portion of the campus for the activities that we may be having go on. And there's even opportunities for joint use, with the city or other entities. And so that allows us to secure the campus to allow for those activities. We can go to the next slide, please. And this is the last slide I have here before we get to any questions. And these are some newly developed renderings of the aquatic center that we will have at Liberty High School. And so we were pleased to be able to add those into the plans as well. And the next slide, I believe, is just questions, except I didn't put questions on there, but I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Candace. Does anyone have any questions for Candace? Having no questions, thank you so much for presenting. Nice plans. I like the gym. Next is Santa Rosa Academy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Kapp once again, secondary principal here at Santa Rosa Academy, and I've been a Menifee teacher for and administrator now for the last 12 plus years of my career. And so it's great to be in a community that I have spent many years in since 2004, before the city was found. So tonight I have a number of people with me that I would like to just briefly mention once again. We have my co-principal for elementary, Mrs. Margie McDermott. I have our board president, Mr. Scott Mason, and Miss Kelly Welty is with us as well. And then of course, our very own board member, Miss Gina Gonzalez, once again. So tonight I'm going to be sharing some brief words on our reopening plan. And for those of you that aren't familiar with us, pardon me, we are an independent charter that operates within the Menifee School District boundaries, and they are our authorizer. So Mrs. Root is our school neighbor, so to speak. And we service 1,600 plus students in our community from transitional kindergarten through grade 12. We offer 3 different educational plans. We have a traditional homeschool plan we refer to as our red track. We have a hybrid model that we refer to as our white track, where students are on campus 2 days a week and they're supported from with an on-campus educator as well as their parents on the other 3 days a week. And our third track, our blue track, is our traditional 5-day-a-week track. And that is, we offer about 100 students per grade level for our on-campus. Currently, like our friends, we are all in a virtual setting. Everyone is working from their houses and whatnot. So we have been hard at work at coming up with a reopening plan. And it really does mirror a lot of what we have seen and heard from our colleagues in and around Riverside County, Orange County. We've taken from a lot of different areas to really come up with what we think is going to be the best for our students, in the hopes that we do get to have students back on campus. And similar to our friends at Menifee, we are looking at hoping to get students back on campus when the situation allows. However, we will be looking at a hybrid model similar to what we currently offer and I mentioned before, our white track program, where we have students some days a week on campus and some days a week being supported from home. And with our class sizes averaging from 26 to 1, we're looking at a half capacity format on that. And so we're going to go ahead and just hope for the best and pray for that day that we get to have our kiddos back on campus. And so being a rather unique school in our area, in that we have transitional kindergartners rubbing elbows with 12th graders, we do have 3 schools in one. And there is some separation between the elementary, the middle, and the high school buildings. But one of the greatest things about our school that I find that as an educator, as a lifelong educator, as a 4th generation educator, is the fact that if our elementary kindergartners, for example, are taking a break in their special area, their older siblings who might happen to be having a break at the same time can come down, hang out with them for a few minutes. I'll help them open up their juice box. If you've not helped a kindergartner trying to get the straw in a juice box in a while, you are certainly missing out on a fun little bit of joy there. But we have an opportunity for our kids of all ages to kind of come together and work with their younger siblings, with their friends, and it's just a really special place. And so I know that we have been in the Menifee community since 2005. Our original founders, that's when they began the school, and while we were leasing buildings, they began dreaming and planning of what it could be. And so it has evolved to where we are now here right by Menifee Town Center. And so as a completely privately funded building, it is a gorgeous Spanish style building. I remember the first time I saw it, I thought it was a Spanish mission. And I don't remember this on the mission trail because I did teach 4th grade at Southshore for 3 years. I'm wondering which mission was here in Menifee. And so that's the format, the style that we use. And so it's just a wonderful place to be. So moving towards reopening, again, the hope is bringing our students back, bringing them back safely, bringing them back in a way that we can meet their needs. And while they're at home, looking for whatever we can do to support our students' needs. We are a one-to-one school, and we have been since essentially since our inception. And we were, in fact, one of the first district schools in the area to be a one-to-one Macintosh district, and we're transitioning into Chromebooks and the like many of our neighbors are as well. A lot of the things that we do here is based on character education. It is really the hallmark of our school. If you've seen us when you've driven by, if you've seen our students out in the public, the things that we want our students to be identified by is not necessarily are they incredible engineers and doctors and things like that, but are they wonderful, wonderful young adults? And so the three character traits that we try to embody in everything we do is excellence, integrity, and respect. And it's on everything that we do. In fact, if you go into our beautiful gymnasium, and it's the 3 basketball courts that we have inside there, full court basketball courts, are named excellence, integrity, and respect courts. And so it's just a very special thing that we get to do. And so character education is at the highest level of priority for us. With that, we have some just amazing things that our kids do. When you walk into our office and students are in there, you'll see them opening the doors for the adults. You'll see them saying please and thank you and yes sir and no sir. And that's what we try to embody in everything we do. Some of the great offerings that we have, being that we're a large school in terms of K-12 grade-wise, we have a fall monologue competition that our high school theater team is putting on, but it's open to our entire school. And so we can have a scaled down version of these monologues for our elementary kiddos, and then something a little more in depth for our middle, and then something even far more involved for our high school students. And so it's really special in that. And also noting that we have the homeschool model, it does allow us to have a lot of students who are able to participate in some working things such as theater productions or movies, televisions, and things like that. So, and we're looking forward to, we have the hopes and dreams and plans, like I said, with reopening, that we can do a spring Seussical the Musical. And so we're excited to see what that's going to look like in this day of COVID. And it may all be virtual in its performance, but we're planning for that. Another area that I'm incredibly proud to talk about really briefly is in the area of mental health. And we know that our students are all facing some terrible anxiety and such during this time when they're stuck at home with their friends, away from their friends, pardon me. And so looking at students' mental health is something that we have really prioritized in addition to our character education. And so I'm incredibly proud of our 2 counselors. We have a counselor that covers the K-8 spectrum and then a counselor for their high school spectrum. And they have done a lot of great work in supporting our students at home during this time. And so, and the last thing I want to end with, and again, I'm just trying to be brief because I know it's getting late, is we have really been working hard at work in putting ourselves out there for the community, because we've kind of been a hidden gem. And again, as a 12-year employee of Menifee USD, I knew about it because it was next to MSJC for a short time, and it was rented out Menifee Elementary after it had closed its doors for a short time. And so, but other than that, I didn't know much about Santa Rosa. So we have really stepped up our YouTube game, if you will. And so if you can check us out on YouTube at Santa Rosa Academy, you'll see that we had a 9/11 observance that we did that we're very proud of. We got to involve Chief Walsh in that, and some other members of our community. And then coming up on November 11th, we have a Veterans Day observance that we are also incredibly proud of for that. So that is all I have for you. And if any of my colleagues had anything like to add, I turn the floor over to them.
I just want to thank, this is Scott Mason. I serve on the board and I have for the last 6 years. I just want to thank the opportunity that we have to meet together here. I think it's wonderful. I love Menifee. I've had family in the city of Menifee for over 20 years, and I've lived here for the past decade myself. I did want to commend our staff, our teachers, our students and our families. When COVID happened in March, what the school did was immediately moved up to the spring break. And immediately after that, 1 week after all the schools closed, they began doing distance learning and right away with very little time lost. And it was really a great service to our students, to help our families, and to continue instructing our students remotely. The difference between March and today is not all that different. They did a wonderful job, and they should be commended for that. And I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity that we had to meet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else? Any questions for Aaron? All right, having no questions, thank you so much for that presentation. And the next one is Spring Charter School.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Robson, and I'm the site facilitator at Springs Charter's Bear River Student Center in Menifee. We as a school have been around for I believe this is our 21st year. We are an independent study charter. I believe that we are the largest independent study charter in the country at the moment. We serve close to 10,000, it might be over 10,000 students now. We have 19 different sites from Chula Vista out to Indio. I think we are going to start opening sites out in other states as well. But at my site in Menifee, we have about 650 kids. We did lose some kids this year, but mainly to move out of the state of California. We've lost about 40 students here recently, and every single one of them is moving out of California. So otherwise, our enrollment has been booming. This is my 16th year with the school. I started in Lake Elsinore with this site with 34 kids. And that, like I said, we now have 650. We were closer to 700. So I've gotten to watch this site just grow over the years. My main role at the school as a site facilitator is health and safety. So I do all the health tech stuff, student medication needs, and then all of our drills, fire, lockdown, lockout, all of that type of stuff. I do all of that for the school. And then I deal with the day-to-day logistics and ordering of supplies. We are a TK through 12th grade charter school, and we have our high schoolers are in portables outside of the main buildings, and then our TK through 8th graders are held in our main 2-story and 1-story building. Like I said, I deal with safety, so everything with COVID, I'm going over and beyond. Charter schools have taken a hit with budget here this year, which was kind of awful considering we need more money for all of the COVID changes. We are currently working in phases to get our kids back on campus. We're currently in phase 3 at the moment. Each phase is going through with the health department, with the city, CDC guidelines, all to get our kids back in. Because we were an independent study charter, switching to the distance learning was a little bit easier on us. Now, my teachers never signed up to be homeschool teachers, so they're all stressing a little bit, but we had a lot more in place at the beginning of this to become a distance learning school. We use all sorts of stuff, IXL, ST Math, Generation Genius, iReady, all our online platforms that we use for our students so that we can still do diagnostics and assessments and everything that we need to figure out what our students need. Our superintendent started all of our 19 different sites with the idea that not all one school and one type of learning fits every student. So all of our sites house different types of programs. We have Montessori programs at some sites. My program is called the Da Vinci Academy, and it's more hands-on. So less curriculum, less books, more hands-on activities. So instead of reading about the Renaissance time, they'll actually get in the garb, they'll do scripts, they'll do everything to do more hands-on type activities with that. We are moving, we were looking at a November 30th date as a soft opening to bring students back in different learning groups. So TK through 2nd, 3rd through 5th, and 6th through 8th. And then high school's pretty much doing their own thing, but we were going to bring them back like one day for each group period, and then move more into more days after that. Now that we've moved back to purple, things are changing a little bit again, and that's been the name of the game, just be ready for change and then replan everything. But we are, once we move back into the classroom, we are going to be installing either the company's called Swivel or Huddle Cams. And what those are is it'll make it so that our students who continue to do the distance learning will still be able to interact with their class. So these will be interactive cameras in every classroom so that the kids at home will still feel like they're coming. Because like one of the other, we've been doing parent surveys and we found the same as Menifee Union did, which was about 20% wanted to continue at home learning, 80% wanted to get back in the classroom. So we're doing our best to make it safe for both. We also we want to make sure that our staff is comfortable completely with everybody coming back. So we do have staff that are preferring to wear masks. So we've ordered mics for them for their classroom so their students can still hear them while they still maintain what they feel is safe for them. And then I believe that's it for me. We're just working on getting the kids back.
Thank you, Lindsay. Does anyone have any questions for Lindsay? Okay, thank you. Very informative. Thank you so much. And I believe the last segment is for Mount San Jacinto College. And it'll be Vicky, Carpenter, and Tom. Ashley.
Thank you, you guys. Well, I walked through this twice earlier today and 3 days ago, and I made it in about 9 minutes. So I know I think I'm the last up. So without further ado, if you can go to the next slide, please. That just gives you a general map of where our schools are. We have 4 campuses. San Gregonio is up in Banning. It's quite small, but it's there and serving students. And then San Jacinto, of course, Menifee, and then our new Temecula campus. You can go to the next slide. That's our board of trustees currently, although we do have 2 races going on right now, but we'll see what happens November 3rd. I'm actually from Area 5 serving Temecula, but I've already mentioned that earlier. And Vicky is Area 3, which includes Menifee. Go ahead, please. All right. Excuse me. Just a quick head count. People don't know how many people go to MSJC. About 26,000 people go to MSJC, but they're not all full-time. So, our full-time equivalents are, I think, around 11,000. We have 73% of our students are first-generation college graduates. I think that's a huge, important number. And also, we are officially a Hispanic serving institution, considering that 52% of our students are Hispanic. Next slide, please. We had a record-breaking graduation just this last May, with the most students graduating and the most degrees handed out in our 58-year history. We also graduated the most Latino students in our history, but because of COVID-19, we did have to have our May 21st graduation ceremony online. We had some great singing, and it came out really nice, but we really miss the in-person graduations. Next slide. What you can see in this slide is that we are moving upward each year. I mean, for the most part, every single year, we are going up in our degrees awarded. That includes Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, and Certificates of Achievement. And we're very proud of that. And so we'll go to the next slide. Also, one of our main goals is to transfer students from the community college to other colleges, mostly, CSUs, UCs, and other institutions. And as you can see, if you look at the very bottom total number, each year we're making steady progress moving upward. So we're very proud of that. Next slide. COVID-19, that's one of the big topics, and it's a big topic for all the community colleges. We had hoped to open this school year with about 80% of our classes online, but trying to do 20% hybrid, but that didn't work out. We weren't allowed to do that, and to be safe, we did almost everything online. with the exception of our nursing program and our automotive program. And we know that the nursing program is essential to graduate nurses to help out with everything that's going on with COVID. So it looks like spring will be the same. And maybe we are going to be able to offer summer classes in person. That's our hope. Next slide, thank you. Also, our campus was touched by the civil rights movement that arose, and it made us really look at ourselves very closely, and how we're doing with students that have more disadvantages and minority students. And we feel very strongly about our Latinx students. They've done quite well, and we've closed the achievement gap with them for the most part. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of work to do on our Black and African American students. And so what we've done this year in 2019 is we launched an equity pledge where we highlighted that we're going to look at our progress of our African American students every month at board meetings. We're going to make continuous improvements throughout the entire institution. And the school board signed on to this document, and we are working very hard to try to replicate. We're working very hard, and other institutions actually are replicating our efforts on our equity pledge. Next slide, please. Also, we have an MSJC promise. There's a California promise that we're a part of. We call ours the MSJC promise, and that is if you are a full-time student and you're passing your classes, you go for free. So tuition, I believe, is $48 a unit, so you could save about $1,380 a year by just passing your classes and going full-time or close to full-time. Go ahead, please. Thank you. We have future STEM buildings coming to both of our San Jacinto campuses and our Menifee campus, and they are beautiful. We were very, very stingy with our Measure AA money. We waited patiently for state money to come through. We almost gave up, but we didn't. And lo and behold, we got state matching funding for two STEM buildings. Next slide, please. Here's a rendering of the Menifee campus STEM building. And like I said, it'll be opening, half was paid from the state, and we get the half from Measure AA, and this will be opening in 2023. Next slide. We have a building that we are redeveloping on our Menifee campus. It's right next to our Learning Resource Center. It's going to be our MSJC Student Center. It's expected to be ready for students in 2021. It'll provide students a one-stop shop building that includes a cafeteria, a career and transfer center, a bookstore, study areas, and our health center. So it's a quite extensive structure. If you can go through the next 2 slides or 3 slides just to show what it's looking like, the renderings. So as you can see, it's going to be very modern with a great roof treatments. And yeah, it's quite nice. It's and that is the future cafeteria kitchen. All right. We're also extremely excited that we are starting construction on our kinesiology and athletics complex in Menifee. This is going to be a beautiful structure that is that the home bleachers are actually a huge building with multiple classrooms inside, weight rooms, locker rooms, and it's just going to be beautiful. It's going to be a great place also for the city and local high schools to have what you might have like city championship football games, concerts. It's going to be amazing. So I think we have another photo of it if you want to go to the next slide. And here we have another slide. You can see a cross section of it, so you can kind of see how it's set up a little bit. It's the bleacher. The bleachers are almost, I think they're about 90 yards wide. So they go almost from end zone to end zone. We can go on to the next slide. Now, you know, the old Santa Rosa Academy building, we called that was ours. We actually leased that to Santa Rosa Academy years ago. We call that the Building 3000. And that is open now and ready to be used as soon as we can bring our students back. And it is our administration of justice and digital media productions programs are in there. And it's just amazing. The work in that photo, you could see an actual like emergency driving simulator that is very real life feeling. And it's really cool. Now, I know it's not in Menifee, but we had hoped to open our Temecula Valley campus in the fall. But of course, due to the COVID-19 delays, it's going to be ready for us to be open in January. But we probably, we're not sure when we're going to be able to bring students into it, but maybe as soon as this summer, it looks like, unless, yeah, probably this summer or in the next fall. It is amazing. In fact, that building is near Costco in Temecula, and it has so many square feet that we could actually put the entire Menifee campus inside that building, like in terms of square footage. It's a 61-foot tall tower. It's one of the tallest buildings in Temecula. Okay. And what you can see is this is the entryway. If you take a look at that slide, it could hold 15,000 students by itself. And we're going to use the second tower as a regional higher education center to provide bachelor's degrees and graduate degrees. So, and that's very close to Menifee. Next slide, please. Okay, Learn.org in September ranked MSJC the 13th best online community college in California. It's very impressive given that we have 116 colleges, but MSJC, you should know, was part of the online education initiative years ago. And we were a leading member of that. And we moved to the Canvas learning management system years and years ago. And we had a great online program before we were forced to go online. So we're a little less affected than many other institutions. Next slide. Our registered nursing program, you're looking at our nurses with an emergency rescue helicopter, ranked number 7 out of 160 programs in California for the best value RN program, according to Nursing Explorer. And that's just above RCC, our neighbor to the north. Nursing Explorer, a nursing education and career resource center, calculates the rankings by considering the college's National Council licensure exam. It's the really hard test nurses have to take, pass rate, which almost every one of our nurses passes. And then for the amount who receives the average amount of student aid. Next slide. We also have a great career education program. And as you can see, I mean, it's a very robust and long one. And I would want you to take a look at that. We're regularly in touch with industry leaders in our region. And we're trying to offer the programs and classes that provide the skills needed for today's workforce. Some fields are mainstays like nursing, but as you can see from this list, it's something that's a bit newer is cybersecurity. And that's certainly a big need right now, as you all know. And we're even doing an electric car program in our automotive program. Next slide. And we have a huge Eagle makerspace at Menifee Valley. And we've actually, if you could, that's good, you could stay right there. And what we've done with that makerspace, if you want to go to the next slide, we used it to help first responders at local hospitals by making tons of face shields with the 3D printers in the makerspace, which is funded by the California Strong Workforce Program. Let's go to the next slide. We have a very robust, foundation that has provided, just last year, provided $115,000 in scholarships for MSJC students. 123 of those range from 200 to 1,500 were awarded to 111 students at our campus. Also, though, our foundation's been very active in supporting COVID-19 and other emergency needs like food, funding, shelter, professional clothing, books, and supplies for our students during these really difficult times. Next slide. And then just to give you an idea, MSJC is a $500 institution in student expenditures. We have 4,500 jobs that we have created with our institution as a whole prior to all the construction. And we have 1,500 employees, full and part-time, with 46 doctorates and 160 master's degrees. So we're bringing a very educated workforce to Menifee. Next slide. And I'll actually, we just say the future's still bright. And I'm gonna let you take a look at that slide yourself, but we're doing a lot of great work. And we'll finish up going to the final slide for questions if anyone has any. But I'm glad I could be here tonight. And Vicki, I'm so sorry that I gobbled up all your airtime, but in the interest of time, I just thought I'd power through.
You're fine. Thank you, Trustee Ashley. I'd be remiss though, if I didn't say that I know that Mayor Zimmerman is a former trustee, and he was very passionate about MSJC when he was a trustee. And so he made sure that when I filled that seat that he was very proud of the makerspace and the STEM building and the stadium, and making sure that we proceed and pursue and be on track for that. So he talks to me regularly and asks me for updates. I also want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Schultz, our staff and faculty, and the trustees for how quickly they responded to the COVID issue, the distance learning, and their support. It's been an honor, it's been a challenge, but they all stepped up to the challenge. And lastly, and Trevor and Candace, we hope to see some of those students that you have on your programs, your college programs. We want to see them at MSJC. And last thing, I was in Temecula yesterday, and I was turning towards Costco, and I hadn't seen the sign, and just my face lit up just seeing the new sign on that campus. So we're lots of good things going on, and we're going to get through this time. So thank you everyone for this opportunity, and Trustee Ashley. I know Dr. Schultz is on also. Did you want to say anything, Roger?
Let's see how fast he can unmute.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I think we're running a little over, so I'll defer more.
Thank you, Roger. Does anyone have any questions for Tom, Vicki, or Roger at this point? All right, no questions. So that concludes the presentations for all the school district. Thank you so much. Very informative. I'm glad that you all got to share some of the challenges with COVID-19 and some of your implementing plans. I think you all did a fantastic job of evolving. I know it's challenging. And I also like the idea that you are all superstars and take your job very serious. The next item on the agenda is future meetings. As you know, this is our inaugural summit for education and government. And we wanted to explore and ask you if you think it would be beneficial to have this meeting once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, so that we can share not just the success and the successes, but the challenges that you all are encountering, and find ways for us to be able to collaborate and work together to solve those problems. So I'll just open it up right now to see if anyone would want to share their thoughts on how often we should have these types of meetings. Any volunteers? Did anyone find this type of information useful, informational?
I do
I'll
see
help you out there, Armando.
I do see Trustee Ashley mentioned once a year. And I know from my previous research, one of the board members had mentioned possibly right before the start of the school year. So those are two suggestions so far.
Okay, so that's actually a good plan. Once a year, right before the school begins. If you at this time, I'd like to yield the floor to, or the mic to, Councilmember D. Dinas or Sobek to share some of their thoughts about the presentations.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, well, I went first last time. I was going to let you go first. I guess we just want to make sure that this is worth your time. Is this something that you want? Either, put your hand up, and would you like to send in a topic that you want to discuss? We just want to make sure that this is something that you want, that it's worth your time. So it's a new idea. And I personally learned a lot today, hearing from the different school districts, getting to see some faces that I haven't met, like Mrs. Root and Aaron. Haven't met you. And then our Bear River Springs. And so I'm just anxious to hear from those in attendance. Maybe what we can do, since we are running overtime, is maybe tomorrow, everyone can just jot a little short email to Imelda. She's done a fabulous job, and I just want to thank her for doing this. It's late, and I don't want to, we don't need to keep talking. So that's all I'm going to have to say.
I think Lisa put it pretty well. Just like I say, in the interest of time, we'll we just send in information. I think annually at least. I know right now it's kind of unique with the COVID thing, but sooner or later that'll be behind us, and we can start looking at other issues and things that we can look at. But I'd be very interested in other topics that are on the minds of the school districts that the city should be aware of, or that we could be assistance to. So again, the email is a great idea.
Thank you, Councilman Dynas. I know that we jumped over to the closing remarks, and the idea of having this meeting once a year, it's actually a good idea. And if you have any topics, any issues that you can think of tomorrow or the next day, email them to Imelda, and we'll put them on the agenda for next time we meet. Does Menifee Union School District have any closing remarks?
No, just we'd like to thank you for having us. It's been being new in the city and new in this area. It's been great to hear everything. I feel like you kind of just arranged it for me so I could get a quick overview of the city and the school district around. So thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. How about Romoland School District?
Oh, just thanks for the opportunity. It's great to collaborate and hear outside of our district what's going on from other learning institutions.
Thank you, Trevor. How about Paris Union School District?
No, I will echo the previous comments. Thank you for the opportunity. It was great.
Candace, thank you. Santa Rosa Academy?
Thank you, everyone, for your attention tonight. It's been a fabulous time getting to know each and every one of you guys.
Thank you, Aaron. Spring Charter School?
Yeah, just thanks for having us. And it's nice to hear that all the schools are kind of on the same path that we are.
And MSJC.
Well, thanks for having me, and it was very informative. It was nice to meet so many people and start building these relationships that we really need to move ahead in our communities. And finally, I'd like to say, before I hand it over to Vicky, go Dodgers.
You got that one.
Okay, I'm just going to say goodnight. It was very informative, and no on M.
Thank you, Vicky. And for me, I like to say that this information was extremely useful for me as city manager, as you know, and having our growing needs. This helps us tremendously in catering and developing our budget each year to be able to deal with the impacts of growth. And then having heard all your success stories is kind of very, very nice to hear, and it just inspires me to want to do more for the city and your district. So with that, Councilman Sobek and Dennis, do you want to say some closing remarks?
Just one last thing I'd like to put, if there's a pressing issue by a school district, please we don't need to wait for a year. Council Member Sobek and I are, and as well as the city manager, are available. We'd like to, to talk and to have those discussions on any pressing issues you may have, or especially between now and when we meet again.
So thank you, and thank you everyone for attending. I did want to mention one last thing is that we as council people, we're here to support you in how we can. And a few things that our city has, we have certificates of achievement, certificates of appreciation, and outstanding citizen of the month. And so if you have somebody that's really deserving in your schools or your school district who's gone over and above and beyond, please contact us. We just would love to support you. I know that Dean and I and other council members have spoken to the third graders, including our mayor, at the end of their school year. We're here to support you. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll get through this COVID, okay? Good night.
Good night, everyone. I think we are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all. Thank you.
Bye.